TG Geeks, episode 193, October 29th, 2018. It's a Halloween-themed webcast. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, but we're recording this early because we're going to be in Las Vegas.
Yes, and I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from, it must be autumn in Phoenix because my allergies are kicking up Arizona.
Yeah, let's get on with the show here.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in this episode, we have Gareth David Lloyd, who is from Torchwood. He did Yanto in Torchwood, and he did Jacob Fitz in I Am Alone. And he's here to talk about a new film that he kind of produced, directed, wrote, did, acted in.
Everything. I'm sure he probably catered it as well.
Yeah, and Black River Meadow. So we're going to talk to him about that film, which actually gets released soon. And we have our birthday shout-outs, as always, our featured podcast of the week, and our feedback, which I say is everyone's favorite. I hope it is.
Be nice.
And we're going to discuss Halloween, the movie.
Yes, the new one.
The new one. Is it new?
It is.
Is it?
It is.
And then we don't have a weekly recap because we're recording this early. We don't know what the heck we're going to run this week. And then we have our follow-up items. So we're just going to get right to it here. At this time, we have a real treat on our show. We've got Gareth David Lloyd, who we have talked to briefly once at Phoenix Fan Fest. Gareth was on Torchwood. He's did I Am Alone, among a ton of other things.
A lot of things.
And as well as his band. I guess that's still going. Welcome to the show, Gareth.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
Oh, great.
Good.
So you're sounding certainly busy these days.
Yeah, it's been a really busy year, actually, for me. It's been lovely.
Yeah, well,
for a
that's good.
change.
Is your band still going? Are you still doing your band thing?
No, we haven't had time, really. I mean, after the second album, being a sort of heavy rock band, we sort of got together and realised we'd sort of run out of things to complain and moan about. So we we took a break.
Cool.
It's been a few years, so we might have stored up some more things to complain and moan about. We're not sure. I've been working with the drummer Nick Harrison on the sound design and music for the web project Black River Meadow. So we still see each other and we still work together, but not as Blue Gillespie.
Right. Well, that's a great segue. Black River Meadow. If I could talk, that would be helpful. Black River Meadow. This is your new project that you've got going, and it's just like it's just soon to be released. So tell us about that project and what you're doing with that and how that's going.
It's an idea I've had in the back of my mind for a good few years, since college, really, for about 20 years. We did a devised piece in college in the basement of a haunted pub, allegedly haunted. And the idea came about from the scribblings of three mediums that were invited into the pub by the landlord. They all sat in different parts of the pub and just wrote. Scribbled things down to do with the history of the pub and what were the presences that they could feel there. And we did a little devised piece based on what they'd written. Recently, I had a very, very quiet year, and so I decided to be proactive and actually get some of the stuff that was in my head down on the paper. I wrote a treatment for a 6-part series called Dark Valley. I sent it to a few friends, some writer friends, some people at Big Finish. They loved it, but they're an audio production company, so they said there's not much they could do with it, but they were impressed with the writing and the story. So that's where the Torchwood audio writing came about. I've done 2 of those, and I've just finished a 3rd. And for this, rather than send it to a load of studios, I got a nice message back from Amazon about Dark Valley, but basically asking me to develop it a bit more. So I thought, rather than scribble it down, let's just show people what it is. Let's open a window into the world that I'm trying to create, and that's where Black River Meadow came about. It's 3 webisodes. They're absolutely free. The Hiding, Black River Meadow episode 1 is coming out this Halloween. It's been a year. We funded it from the fans through Kickstarter, and we're very proud of what we've achieved. So hopefully it'll inspire people to fund us for episode 2, and B, give serve as an example to the bigger idea, the Dark Valley idea.
Oh, cool. So this is proof of concept then. So for anybody that may want to pick up the whole series, would that be correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, cool. That is great. A lot of people are doing that. They're doing these little webisode things as proof of concepts and then shopping it out. Mm-hmm. So
how long did it take to... Oh, go ahead.
No, up to you.
I was just going to say, how long did it take to work on this first webisode?
The idea I had in my mind anyway, like I said, it's just a window. The episode, I think, asks more questions than answers them, which is sort of what I wanted. I didn't want to give too much away. I just wanted to sort of showcase the feel, the genre, and tone of it. So it was a 7-page script, and I was expecting it to be about 10 minutes. So it didn't take long to write, and then I sent it to some people that I'd worked with, Robin Bell, who produced the Twisted Showcase web anthology, which is horror anthology. I brought him on board because of his experience with web drama, and some guys. There were some local filmmakers came on board. They were all very excited by it. Everyone that came on board was really sort of excited by the script, which was nice. So we were all on the same team. Nobody was just doing it for the pitiful money that I paid everyone. But yeah, so we got a great team, and then we shot it in February. So from script to screen, it's going to be a little over a year, which is a little longer than we'd hoped. We run into some problems in the summer. We're hoping to do the next one probably in about 8 months, knock a bit of time off. But yeah, the first one a year, which I'm still proud of. It's the first time I've done anything like this, and I think a year is pretty good for something self-funded.
So are you producer, director?
That was my next question.
Yeah. What
role do you have?
I'm one of the exec producers. I'm the writer, obviously. I'm director, and I'm in it as well in this first one.
Wow. Just a little bit of everything. The jack of all trades, shall we say? Yeah,
absolutely. I've always had a bit of experience directing with Twisted Showcase anthology that I mentioned, and I've always written. I've always written stuff down. I've never. I haven't sent things out to many people. It's always something I've done as a hobby, just sort of to get things out of my mind onto the page. So yeah, it was good. I was the thing I was most nervous about was the directing, and my experience with that basically stems from watching people, being on set myself, and sort of taking in everybody's roles and learning all the different departments' languages. And yes, so I was nervous about it, but I had a really good first assistant director, Rhys Jones, who was sort of my rock throughout the process, and he helped me, and we didn't run over, which is quite unheard of. And yeah, I was proud of what we managed to achieve, considering I was taking on so many different roles.
Yeah. I was going to ask, did you, being that you had a first assistant director, I'm pretty sure that he handled all of the scenes that you were in, but was there any sort of challenge where you had to think about as a director in terms of your own particular performance? I know that most actors, I mean, they think about what it is that they have to do when they're in front of the camera, but now you're serving as director too. So does that color your performance when you're acting?
I don't know. I think it sort of freed me up a little bit. I'm always sort of, and I think most actors are hunkered down with the sort of the paranoia of was it all right? It feels all right, but you need that sort of validation from somebody who's watching it to sort of go, yeah, that was great. But with this, I didn't really have time to sort of worry about it. Obviously, Reese was overseeing it, and if he said great, then I just we had to move on, and I had to trust him and go with it. And so I had less of that sort of anxiety, that sort of paranoia whether I was doing all right. And of course, I knew the script inside out. I knew how it was going to look, so it was my own material, so that made it a little easier as well.
Cool. No, you had something else?
No, that was it.
I was just going to ask, where was this filmed? Was it filmed? You're in Wales right now, correct? Or
yeah, absolutely. The location was that was one of the things that took quite a while. I had lots of cool locations in mind. I wanted to shoot it in the bowels of Tredegar House, which is where Torchwood we shot Cybergirl. That served as the basement. Yeah, I wanted to use one of the rooms there to serve as the basement of an old coaching Drovers Inn. But the National Trust charged so much money, and they didn't really sort of take into consideration that we were a very low budget production. They tried to charge us the same amount as they would have a large scale production company.
Oh my lord!
But we were very lucky. A friend of mine who works in Newport Market, which is my hometown, took me down into the basement of that, and that it was absolutely wonderful. And Newport Council charged us a lot less to use it. It took a while to find it, but we were lucky to get it, and yeah, I think it serves the piece rather well.
Cool. So, have you already funded the other 2 webisodes, or do you have to seek funding for that, or
are you waiting till the first episode is out before you pursue the second the funding for the rest?
That's what I want to do. Obviously, we did a little sort of teaser video for the first one that we put out to sort of give an example of tone and genre. But for the second series, we're going to be asking for a little bit more money, not much. It's a little bit more ambitious. It's all majority of it is exterior, and there's a lot more prosthetics involved. So we're asking for a little bit more money, and I thought it was only fair not to do that until we had an example of what we were actually making, and to show people how we spent that first Kickstarter campaign money.
Oh, cool.
So yes, as soon as it's out, I mean, this week I'm sending part of the deals, part of the rewards for the backers was to get a copy of the episode before it came out. So I'm doing that this week. All the backers will be getting their copy, and hopefully they'll say, yeah, that was money well spent, and we'll back the next one. But on top of that, we should have hopefully some more interest just on the first episode when it comes out. That's Halloween.
Cool. So
go ahead. I was going to say, how long? Because you said I think you said something like you're starting for like a 7-page script. How long is the webisode, and is there a time limit that you want to establish for these webisodes?
Well, not really. I don't really want to limit myself. I mean, the first one sort of set the length of the other 2 episodes. It runs about 20 minutes, which is quite long, quite a bit longer than we'd anticipated. But it was mainly because it was to do with the sort of building of tension within the within the episode, there's quite a long section where there's a very slow burn build of tension, and that is basically where the extra time came from. And we were thinking about chopping it down, but it in our opinion, it doesn't really lose lose the tension at all. So we thought, no, we're gonna let's keep it this long. Part of the one idea was to submit it to film festivals. We didn't quite make the deadline this year. It wasn't quite finished, but that wasn't really ever the goal anyway. The goal was to present something to our backers that made them feel like they'd spent their money, and it was spent their money on something worthwhile.
Right. You can always do the film festivals on the back end, and
absolutely. Next year, by next year we should have the second one up and running, and maybe we can do a shortened version to submit to short film festivals. But we'll see. The primary goal here is to keep our backers happy and to reward them for helping us out, and to showcase a much bigger idea.
Right. Are the webisodes going to be standalone, or is this a continuing series? I'm curious if it's anthology or if it's one big story.
It's all set in the same place. It's set in an otherworldly village deep in the Welsh mountains, somewhere you can only find if it wants you to. And they are very much windows into the lives of people in that village, or their journeys to that village. There will be links for people who can be bothered to look for them. There'll definitely be through lines and clues that will connect the episodes. But as stories, they're about different characters and they're different stories. It's not one story.
Oh, cool. So, and this is releasing on Halloween. And
yep.
Where can people find this?
First of all, we're having our website built at the moment, but the first way is we've got our own YouTube channel. It'll be going out on there, and I'll be posting the link on all social media on Halloween for everyone to.
Oh, cool! That's wonderful. So can we back up a little bit, because the last time we talked to you for the 6 minutes or 6 minutes and 20 seconds that we talked to you, we didn't really get a chance to explore who you are and how did you get into acting.
Yeah, we were so busy talking about I Am Alone that we didn't get to talk about Gareth David Lloyd himself.
Yeah. So
that's quite a long story, but. Yeah, my first ever acting experience was playing a computer in a school play with a voice not too dissimilar from a Dalek's, actually.
Oh, interesting.
That's where I sort of got the buzz. I had a very kind, rich auntie who was already sending me for music lessons. I learned to play the trumpet and piano, but it was the acting that was the thing that really got me. I might have stuck with the music more, but I didn't really get on with my music teacher. He was sort of classically trained. I wanted to play jazz, and he wanted me to play classical stuff. So I think that soured my musical interest at the time, and I chose acting. I did many youth theatres around the South Wales area. And then I did a 1-year course in Reading, in the UK, which was run like a repertory theatre company. We did a play every 2 weeks, basically, 14 plays over the course of a year.
Wow.
And then I did the National Youth Theatre of Great Britain and played Mac the Knife in the Threepenny Opera when I was 21, and that's where I got my agent, my first agent.
Oh, cool.
And it was, and from there it was guest roles for many years. Casualty, I did a thing with Stephen Fry called Absolute Power, and then it was like that right up until I got Torchwood, which was my first ever regular role.
Well, that's cool. So were you a Doctor Who fan? Obviously, you mentioned the Dalek, so I assume you were a Doctor Who fan growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sylvester McCoy was my Doctor.
You're the first person to say that.
That is.
And he's still is. After meeting him quite a few, been lucky enough to meet him quite a few times now. He's still my favourite.
Oh, cool.
And I was walking around London sort of penniless when the revamp happened with Christopher Eccleston. I thought it was a great idea. I was looking forward to it, but I didn't really latch onto it as an audience member until I got an audition for it. I got an audition for the secretary to the mayor in an episode, and so then I had a look and I got hooked then. I actually got the role, but then I couldn't do it because I was playing Beethoven's nephew in Poland and it clashed. So I was I was a bit upset.
Yeah.
But then if I'd done that one episode, that might have marred my chances to be in Torchwood. So I suppose everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
The role in Torchwood certainly engendered yourself onto the hearts of a lot of people when poor Yanto's time came up. I guarantee you there were lots of wailing and gnashing of teeth. It was a very sad moment. So you definitely made your mark on Doctor Who history. There's no question about that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
And then you came to, obviously did a few other things, but then you came to the States and did the I Am Alone thing. And Rob tells the story that you guys met in a bar in Kentucky or something and just kind of hit it off.
We met in a whiskey bar in Kentucky, yeah. He just came up and just started speaking. He said he'd recognized me from the show. He was a big fan of the show. And then he told me about this idea about a survivalist, Bear Grylls, this Les Stroud-esque character that was the script that he had, that with this guy was stuck making a survivalist documentary while a zombie apocalypse happens.
Wow!
And I just fell in love with the idea, and so we swapped emails. He sent me a script. I loved it. We negotiated, and yeah, that was great fun running around the Colorado Rockies for a few weeks making that. We had a great time.
Yeah, and that was we really loved that film.
Film.
It was a great film, and
it was very original, but it all hinged on and I'm not just blowing smoke, but I thought your performance was just completely otherworldly. It was amazing. You did such a phenomenal job of watching a person's humanity literally erode away in front of the camera.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if people want to learn more about Gareth David Lloyd, and if they want to learn more about this project, these webisodes, how can they do that? Is there any social media presence available at the present time? You did mention there was a website that was being built, but are there any places that people can also go to in the meantime?
Yeah, everything. The place it goes first at the moment is obviously it has a page on Kickstarter, the Kickstarter website. You can look for Black River Meadow on that. All announcements and updates get put on there first, and then a couple of seconds later they get put on the Twitter. Black River Meadow has a Twitter, which is @BlackRivMeadow. Mm-hmm. And I have my own Twitter, and it goes on those two simultaneously. And my Twitter is @Pancheers, PANCHEERS.
Coolness.
So
and everything goes on there. That's the first place it'll go. There's also my official Facebook, Gareth David Lloyd, which I don't moderate, but it goes on there pretty soon after as well. So if guys aren't on Twitter, then the official Gareth David Lloyd Facebook page does eventually have all the information.
Cool. So I think that pretty much covers it with the time that we have today. So thank you so much, Gareth, for being with us this time.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me on.
This is Gareth David Lloyd, Yanto from Torchwood, Solus from Dragon Age, and Jacob Fitz from I Am Alone, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And here's a few selected birthdays for October 29th through November 4th, 2018. October 29th, Bob Ross, the famed painter who did
with the hair.
With the hair, and that's just...
Didn't he just recently pass away?
Maybe a couple of years ago, maybe? I don't remember. Maybe it was recently. I don't recall, but... I watched one of his episodes and it's like, oh my God.
And he makes it look so simple.
He makes it look so simple, and let's put a little happy little troll here. Let's put some happy trees, or
do a little bit
of this,
right
a little bit
and,
of that.
and it's,
he just touches it, and there it is.
Yeah,
It's like,
and you think,
how the heck
gee,
did he do that?
Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what he was aiming for, too.
Yeah. Also on October 29th, Ralph Bakshi.
Oh, gee, maybe we need to watch Wizards again.
Yeah, maybe. Richard Dreyfuss and Dwayne Smither, a friend of mine from high school. October 30th, John Adams, second president.
Oh, not the
United States.
composer.
Not the composer.
But we're talking about my favorite of the Founding Fathers.
Yeah, a very interesting thing that he shared the birthday with King George II,
Really?
who was King George III's father, who they were fighting against in the War of Independence.
Okay, that's interesting.
I found that fascinating. Interesting. Also on October 30th, Henry Winkler and André Chenier, who there was an opera written about him. He was a poet and revolutionary
yeah.
in France. Also, Pablo Absento, filmmaker, a friend of ours that lives in Japan. October 31st, Peter Jackson, Johannes Vermeer, who is actually was overlooked for quite some time. He's one of the Dutch masters, but overlooked for almost 2 centuries, and then they rediscovered his work. And
Didn't we see some of his work at the Phoenix Art Museum a few years back?
We may have.
So I seem to remember there's some of the Dutch masters were there.
Yeah. And also on October 31st, Jen Hines. Happy birthday, Jen.
Happy birthday, Jen.
November 1st, Tim Cook and Peter Ostrom.
Of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. November 2nd, Ray Walston, Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, she says. Also, Brian Augustin. Happy birthday, Brian. And Jeremy Reisenhoover.
Happy birthday, Jeremy.
A friend of ours from my high school days. November 3rd, Charles Bronson. And he took his last name because he was Polish.
It's a weird name.
Yeah, and when he went to audition for, or do a screen test at Paramount Studios, they said, "Oh, nobody will ever be able to pronounce your name. You got to come up with something that's easier."
So didn't he take it from the Bronson Gate?
The Bronson Gate at
there it is.
Paramount Studios, exactly. It's some apocryphal story. I don't doubt that happened, but it's a story they like to tell on the tour anyway. Also on November 3rd, Dolph Lundgren and Benvenuto Cellini, who is a famed sculptor, and Giuseppe Verdi wrote an opera about that as well, him.
Which opera?
Benvenuto Cellini.
Oh, that's the name of the opera?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of it before.
We listened to it the other day, a little bit of it.
You probably paid more attention to it than I did.
It's the one with the screaming tenor.
And how many operas have those?
Anyway. Also on November 3rd, Jan Dahl, our realtor friend
Who
of
helped
ours.
us get this house and the studio.
Yes. November 4th, Ralph Macchio, Walter Cronkite, Robert Mapplethorpe, who was a rather controversial photographer, worked in black and white, and his foundation that he started a year before he died, and then after, it didn't really do anything until after he died, and it was big, huge foundation that has given tons of money to AIDS research and whatnot, because he had died of AIDS, 89, I believe. Also, on November 4th, Oklahoma's favorite son, Will Rogers.
And I just want to say regarding the Ralph Macchio birthday, does he still look 18?
Not quite. He's
Is
aged a little bit.
Really?
A little bit. Anyway, and that's the birthdays this time.
Hi, my name is Joe Hogan, and I'm a geek. And if you're currently listening to this, there's a good chance you're a geek too. So check out my podcast, Geektitude. Each week, I talk with somebody about their geek aptitude. Sometimes I talk to people in a geeky profession. Sometimes it's someone doing something really cool with their geekiness. Often it's another geeky podcaster. But it's always someone who wants to share their inner geek. So join me each week as we come together to geek out about all the geeky stuff we love. And remember, this week, keep it geek.
Go give a listen to our friend Joe Hogan over at Geektitude Podcast. And now, my favorite, anyway, my favorite music.
Oh, okay.
And I like the feedback too. So,
Oh, I'm glad you do. But that's why it's your favorite moment.
it's done.
Oh, thank you. Okay, starting off. Yes, in case you haven't figured out, this is the feedback. Starting off with episode 188. Now, that's where we interviewed Joe Spector. That was our opera episode.
Yeah.
I mean, we interviewed Joe Spector, John De Los Santos, and this is all leading up to Maria de Buenos Aires. And we got a comment from Arkle, and he says, nice piano music at the close there. Is this going to be a regular thing for the show, or was it just a one-off because of who the interviews were? It's a one-off.
Well,
But we could use
it will be
yeah.
the when we do another opera podcast, and hopefully we'll have one coming up soon. You never know.
Yes.
And
Yeah, so there it is. And then moving on, we had another Old Classics newly reviewed. This one was Jeannie Koch had written one for My Fair Lady from the movie 1964. And Hamish Downey had a comment, and he said, I studied the George Bernard Shaw play at high school, and he did give his play a decisive ending. And Eliza indeed marries Freddie and runs a flower shop in that version. Now, I did not know that. I had not read Pygmalion in years. I'd forgotten.
There's multiple endings to that story.
Interesting. Yeah, because I don't remember that ever happening when I read Pygmalion in high school.
Yeah.
And then we also had Fanbase Press and Pomonic Entertainment to launch Finding Felicity podcast. And we got a comment from Barbara Dillon, and she simply says, thank you so much. This one was interesting.
Holy moly.
Back on July, did a review for 1776.
From 1972.
I know, that is so bizarre. The movie musical 1776 that came out in 1972 under the Old Classics newly reviewed. And Mary Neely, she read the review. How she found it, I'll never know. But she saw, there was a picture in there of Donald Madden, who played Representative John Dickinson from Pennsylvania. And she says, Donald Madden is my idol. Been devoted to him since the 1980s. Thanks for including his pick on your site. I have tons more of him if you would be interested in adding a few. Well, thank you very much. And then moving on, I got a comment from Tommy Cannon, and this is in regards to his own Dr. Zombie Monster Family Physician number 14. And he simply says, and he left this feedback on Twitter, and he says, thanks to the Two Gay Geeks for letting me weird up their site a little bit. Tommy, we love it.
We love the site being weirded up.
We love it. It's so perfect, which you're adding to the website. We love it. Thank you very much for sharing your Dr. Zombie comics with us. And then got another comment from Hamish Downey. This is in regards to another Old Classics newly reviewed, North by Northwest from 1959. And this is something that Jeannie Koch had put together. Hamish writes, it's a big Hollywood version of his earlier film, I think he means Alfred Hitchcock, The 39 Steps, in my opinion. There are bad Hitchcock films like M. Night. Once he bought into his own genius, he stopped being so. Have you ever seen the TV film South by Southwest? And then got another comment for the same topic from Michael Fett. And he says, it's a fantastic film, but not meant to be caught on Turner Classic Movie Channel. It's really meant to be watched from Blu-ray until the 4K release of the 2017 restoration becomes available on 4K UHD for the 60th anniversary, or if this print is screening in a local theater. Last option, stream from Filmstruck. It's just a film because of the colors, backgrounds, and textures. It would be a sin to watch it any other way. When Jeannie Koch had feedback, or she had her own response to that, she says, it was great on Turner Classic, so I have no regrets. Though seeing almost any film in Blu-ray is a better way to go. And Michael had a response. Yeah, I'm a videophile nut when it comes to cinema. Now, I only included all of that because I agree with one line that he had here. And that he said, or if this print is screening in a local theater, because you and I have had the pleasure of seeing some amazing films that were on film, and it is such a different experience.
Absolutely. You know, if it's a local theater that's doing film, it's wonderful, you know, and we also have the film bar that does some other things as well. So,
but like we saw Cemetery Man in 35 millimeter, which was gorgeous, and then we recently saw it was a 70 millimeter print of 2001.
Yeah, we saw the 70 millimeter restoration
print
of Tron.
Oh, that's right, of Tron. Oh, at the Egyptian, that was amazing.
Unfortunately, we have to go to L.A. for a lot of these things. But
like I'm complaining.
Yeah, but if you have the opportunity to catch something that was originally on film and there's a restoration of it, please check it out.
Check it out. You will not be sorry.
I mean, if you're a film buff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like Michael, he's a videophile. Keith and I love good movies, especially, you know, a good 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter print. I mean, it looks beautiful on the screen. So that's the reason I decided to keep that dialogue. And then we got a comment from Larry Nemechek, and this is a combination. Part of it came from Facebook, and the rest of it came from Instagram. And this is in regards to the Star Trek Stellar Cartography book, and it was updated for Star Trek Discovery by Larry Nemechek. And Larry starts off by saying, "Thanks for the signal boost, guys. I gave this page a shout-out during the Ask Dr. Trek Roundtable," and he did that on September 27th, on P47. That's Portal 47.
Yep.
And he says, "As you will see." And then lastly, we got a comment from Kyoko Kudo, and this is actually more directed towards Hamish Downey because he interviewed her.
And you have the Morsons again.
Morsons? Oh, blast it. I cannot spell, I cannot speak, I cannot type. I'm a mess.
Join the more sex.
More sex. Yes, more sex. Yes, I'm a mess. I'm a mess, people. Yeah. Anyway, it was in regards to the more sex of news from. You need to change the name of this now.
Morsels.
Yes, it's Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond number 30. What were we talking about?
I have no
yes.
clue.
Hamish interviewed Kyoko Kudo. And Kyoko had this for Hamish. She says, "Thank you so much, Hamish, for the opportunity. If I had another chance, I'd like to mention your shootings after we finish all the rest in this winter." And Hamish responded to her saying, "Anytime, hopefully next time, Ben and Keith can do the interview." Yay. And thankfully, that is the last of our feedback before I mangle things any worse.
Yeah. We thank you to everybody that has commented, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or on the website itself. We want to hear from you, our listeners, and you can do that. You can comment in all of those places on Facebook for any of the posts, because everything gets posted to Facebook that we publish. You can comment on all of the articles at tggeeks.com, and you can comment on Twitter and Instagram and all of those other places. And if you choose to, you could even call us and leave a voicemail feedback at our feedback line.
I haven't had one in a long time. I'd love to have one again, people.
Yeah, you can leave a message and we'll play it on air. That's 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. As always, with any comments, please play nice.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
It's the dramatic music.
That's the way you said that. It was so I was going to say nerdy, but no, that's not it. I don't know what that was supposed to be.
I don't know what it was either. Maybe it was my impression of, oh gosh, his name just went out of my brain.
Oh dear. You'll remember it halfway through this discussion.
Exactly.
Anyway, you know, and I want to start this off by saying, for people who've read my reviews, many times I have said I love to be surprised. Unfortunately, for as many times as I've been surprised, I've been equally disappointed. And I hate to say that, but we had a very disappointing movie experience, and that was this latest production of the movie Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so now I've already given my thoughts, and we'll have the link for my review in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. But I'd really like to get some of your thoughts on some of the things that you felt that were really wrong with this movie.
It wasn't scary, for one thing.
No, it
was a rehash of the original film. The only good thing about it is that Jamie Lee Curtis was brilliant.
Yes.
As Laurie Strode. The unfortunate thing is she didn't have a whole lot of screen time.
She didn't have a lot of screen time. But when she was on, and I say the same thing in the review, when she was on, she was brilliant.
Yeah. Obviously, we've talked about John Carpenter in the original Halloween, and other people kind of agree and then others that disagree, but John Carpenter really brought to the forefront and designed all of those tropes.
I mean, they all kind of existed here and there.
Yeah.
They were kind of spread out, but it was Halloween, that first one that he did from 1978, that really set the bar and said, this is what a slasher horror film is to be.
Yeah. I mean, run for the shed, not the car.
Right. Have inappropriate sex.
Yeah.
Do drugs. I mean, this movie is filled with it. I mean, we saw a lot of that in the first film. And I remember when I saw it the very first time, when I was a teenager, and it scared the dickens out of me. I didn't sleep for a week. And then you and I had the enormous pleasure of seeing it last year.
On Halloween.
On Halloween.
You know, great.
And we all laughed.
In a theater.
Yeah, it was I'd say
print.
that the theater was about a third full, and all of us were just laughing.
Yeah.
Because we all recognized the tropes.
Yeah. I mean,
but it still was an enjoyable ride.
Exactly. But this one, just dumb stuff, idiot plot stuff.
A lot of bad idiot plot.
And there were a couple of things that were like, okay, we filmed this to fill some space.
Yeah, there was needless padding.
Took you out of the film, I mean, one character that should have died that didn't die.
Oh, thank you very much.
And a couple of characters that died that shouldn't have died.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that briefly. I will say there is one death that I did not like. It was really, really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
And it was early on in the movie.
Yeah.
And I did not like it. I highly disapproved. And they almost revisited that later on, and you and I had agreed that had they done this one other death, that you and I were going to walk out.
I would have walked out, yeah.
I would have walked out of the theater at that point because it would have just been beyond the pale. But this movie, when it does, most of the time, it is, as you said, it's paint by numbers. It is just rehashing everything that we saw. The only thing that was good was the third act. And that is when Michael is in Laurie's house.
Yeah. And
that was exciting.
Yeah, it was. And all of the stuff that she did and all of the preparation. I mean, she has become a doomsday prepper, but she's become a Michael Myers prepper, if you will. The whole house is
it's a trap.
A trap for him.
Yeah. The whole thing was planned.
Yep.
I mean, even some of there were some red herrings that Laurie had placed for Michael to trap him, and it paid off brilliantly. And I will admit, some of the payoff on how they trap him is amazing.
Yeah.
And then it just, wow, that ending, eek.
Yeah, there was also, they tried to get rid of all of the subsequent films.
Yeah.
Yet they borrowed from those films.
Heavily. They borrowed heavily from the other Halloween films, including Halloween 3, which has nothing to do with Michael Myers.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very bizarre. But the most egregious, I'm not gonna go into detail, but yeah, they borrowed something from Halloween 2, which was at the time a direct sequel from the first Halloween. It picks up right when the first Halloween movie leaves off, and yet we're told that movie didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I was really offended by it. This movie is an enormous disappointment.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible disappointment. I had hoped for better. I wanted better. I wanted a better thrill ride. I wanted more suspense. I wanted more scare.
Yeah,
and I didn't get. I barely
been better.
got that.
There's a lot of people that I heard coming out of the theater and saying, "Oh my gosh!" I've seen people post on Twitter and on Facebook. "Oh my gosh!" And it's like, oh, okay, it was kind of like, huh.
Well, we ran into Noah, a friend of ours from our Slice of Sci-Fi days, and we chatted with him up a little bit, and he felt much the same way that we did. He was gratified that we also didn't like it.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't think it was that great a film. Your mileage may vary.
Exactly.
I mean,
depends on what you like and what you don't like.
Just because we didn't like this movie, I'm not going to say don't go see it.
It's worth seeing.
I would say it's worth seeing. It's a fun film to see with a group and maybe laugh at it.
Yeah,
but check it out. I mean, if you like a good horror film, maybe this one qualifies for you.
Yep.
So, but that's our thoughts on Halloween.
Yep.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Yeah, we don't have a
follow-ups.
recap this week.
No, well, we do.
I mean,
yeah, we really
we don't know what we're going to run. Obviously, we're going to run. There's a Dr. Zombie that's going to be on Sunday, an episode on Monday, and
we kind of know what
new
we're gonna...
sushi on Friday.
Yeah, well, I think we kind of know what you're going to run a restaurant review on the 27th on Saturday.
Yeah, but other than on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we
no idea.
Have no clue. You might do a wrap up of.
I hope to have a wrap up
of
the Haunting of Hill House. Yeah.
So
for then.
But you can find everything that we are publishing on tggeeks.com. Check it out for those that only listen to the website. And as always, we have a few follow-up items. Check out the widgets on the side of the page. There's a number of books and causes that we support. And actually, Last Son should be in the throes of being finished. Or not Last Son, but
Hanged Man.
The Hanged Man by Katie Edwards. Last Son is there available, and Hanged Man is there available for pre-order. And we're supporters of Arizona Opera. The next opera is Charlie Parker's Yardbird. Please check it out. azopera.org. And restaurant reviews, as we talked about earlier. That's a new category for us. We got some interesting restaurant reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, others. Please check them out. You find people at craft fairs, at cons, at book fairs, at and that and the other.
I'm actually going to expand on that and say you might even find them in small restaurants.
Absolutely. There's lots of independent creators, and please support them by commenting on their stuff, talking to them, talking to other people about their stuff, buying their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Support independent creators.
Special shout out to Doctor Who Fancast Guide for republishing our content on a regular basis. It is put out by Doctor Who Talking Who, and you can find them on Twitter by searching @TalkingWho. Also, there's Byronics Semi-Diurnal Aggregator that republishes our content regularly. That is put out by Michael C. Burgess, and you can find him on Twitter by searching @Byronic. That is BYRONIK. And then you heard from Arkle a little bit earlier. He has the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News that republishes our content on a regular basis, and you can find him on Twitter by searching @Arkle, ARKLE. And speaking of Arkle, he just finished wrapping up recently his shameless cash grab, and you can find that on YouTube by searching Arkle Studios, all one word. So do that, and in the last episode, you will hear our voices there. And then we need to give a special shout out to, as always, to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant stories and articles there on their page. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek. And as always, our most heartfelt thanks go out to Jeremiah Reeves for giving us permission to share our stuff there.
Yes, thank you very much, Jeremiah. And thank you to everybody that has clicked on our Amazon ads. We really want to encourage you to do that. It shows Amazon that we get some traffic, and if we reach enough clicks, they actually give us a little kickback. But you can also click on some of the search ads, and if you buy something, we might get a little bit of cash in our hands to help pay for the show. And lastly, we are now on Spotify, and as well as every place else, iTunes and Spreaker and Stitcher and Google Play and this and that and the other.
Last.fm, I just saw our link for that earlier
really?
today. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of our episodes, Last.fm.
Oh, interesting. And as of course, we are on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays. You give a listen over there. Gene is doing a great job with Krypton Radio, and we appreciate the opportunity to have our episodes played over there. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Up next time, I don't know. We may have we've got a lot of things that we can run.
We
have
just
interviews.
don't know what yet.
We don't know what. We'll when we get there, we'll know. So stay tuned.
That's all, folks.
That should do it for this episode.
Wow, that was epic.
TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things that we talked about today. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thank you for listening, and please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers.